Okay, so let's pick up now. My notes did not print off letter C on the next page and letter D on the next page. They just printed off the graphs. So I've written them in here. Letter C is x squared over 4 plus y squared over 9 equals 1. Okay? All right, here we go. So center for letter C, 0, 0. Nothing with x, nothing with y. Okay, your major axis. Which one has the biggest number underneath it? Is x bigger or is y bigger? Y is bigger. Y is the major axis. How far are you going to go? Not 9. You square root the 9. You're going to go 3 units. Okay, your minor axis is going to be x, and we'll go 2 units. Again, the graphing side of this is going to be the easy part. Plot the center, 0, 0. We'll go 3 in the y direction, so up 3 and down 3. And we'll go 2 in the x direction. Again, it is that simple. You've graphed your ellipse. Okay, done. Right now, again, the challenge here is getting the coordinates of the foci. So how do I find the foci? Okay, the way I find the foci is by doing c squared equals a squared minus b squared. That is our formula. A squared is the biggest bottom. So c squared is going to equal. A squared is 9. Subtract b squared, the smallest bottom, 4. So c squared is going to equal 5. Square root both sides, and c is going to equal plus or minus radical 5. Okay, now, that's the number that's going to get added and subtracted to the center along the major axis. The major axis is y. So you're going to add and subtract to the y part of the center, y being 0. So your coordinates of your foci, I'm going to write them over here now. The coordinates, the places on the graph where you'd actually plot these 2 points, would be 0, 0 plus radical 5. Well, that's still just radical 5. And then 0, 0 minus. And that makes negative radical 5. Okay, and there we go. We have the foci. Okay? All right, a little bit more coming. Let's keep working. Let's do letter D, and then we'll also find the eccentricity of each ellipse. Okay, so letter D. What is your center? Center is, again, 0, 0. Okay, nothing with x, nothing with y. What is your major axis? Again, it ends up being y here because y has the biggest number. Okay, square root of 81, we're going to go 9 units. Okay, x is going to be the minor axis, and we're going to go 6 units. Square root of 36. Right, now to make this fit, probably do my graph by 2's. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. All right, I got my major and minor axis are going to fit here. I'm going to start from 0, 0. And I'm going to go 9 in the y direction. Up and down 9. And then 6 in the x direction. 2, 4, 6. And then 2, 4, 6. Okay. Go ahead and draw in your ellipse. Okay, now, for your foci, you're going to do c squared equals a squared minus b squared. Okay, c squared equals a squared minus b squared. So c squared is going to equal, a squared is the biggest bottom, 81, subtract 36. Okay, so 81 subtract 36 is going to be, maybe you want to grab for your calculator if you're not sure. 81 minus 36 is 45. So c squared equals 45. Square root each side, and c is going to equal plus or minus. You square root 45, that's square root of 9 and square root of 5, so that's 3 square roots of 5. Plus or minus 3 square roots of 5. Okay, so that's what's going to get added and subtracted to the major axis, which again is y. So add and subtract to the y. So my foci are going to be 0, 0 plus. That's 3 square roots of 5. And 0, 0 minus. Negative 3 square roots of 5. And there are your 2 focal points. Okay. Now, if you wanted to see if those actually were on the graph, you'd have to get a decimal approximation. So you'd take 45 and you'd square root it, and that comes out to about 6.7. So you'd be going up about 6.7, somewhere about right here, down about 6.7246, about right there if I asked you to plot those. Okay? All right, so far so good. Hopefully you feel like you can do this. Now, we haven't thrown any completing the square in here. We haven't had any weird vertices, any weird centers. We're going to have that in the next lesson. Now, last part of what we're doing today is eccentricity. It's basically how flat is the ellipse. Okay? So the way you find eccentricity is with a simple formula C over A. And these are going to be decimals, so you definitely need a calculator for this now. All right? Very simple to do. You're going to find C by doing A squared minus B squared. Okay? C squared equals. So C squared is going to equal the largest bottom, subtract the smallest bottom. So C squared equals 27. Okay? 36 minus 9. And then you're going to want to square root each side. Okay? So C squared is going to, or sorry, C itself, because I just square rooted. C equals the square root of 27. You don't have to simplify it. You know, I mean, I know you can make it 3 square roots of 3, but you don't have to do that. Just leave it like that for a second, because again, eccentricity is C over A, which now we have C. C is the square root of 27. Now, how do you get A? A is the square root of the biggest bottom. So C, again, or sorry, A is the square root of the biggest bottom. So the biggest bottom here is 36. You'll square root 36 and get 6. Okay, so now eccentricity is a decimal. Okay, and so you're going to square root 27. So square root 27, hit equals, and then divide by 6. Hit equals. Okay, and the eccentricity for this ellipse is approximately, you want a decimal, 0.87. Okay, again, we got that by doing the C squared equals A squared minus B squared formula that we were using before. Okay, find that number and then divide by the square root of the largest bottom given to you there. Okay, 0.87 is your eccentricity. All right, let's try letter B again. Same thing, we want to find C over A. So we'll do that. We'll find C first by doing C squared equals A squared minus B squared. Okay, so C squared is going to equal your biggest bottom, 81, subtract your smallest bottom, 9. 81 minus 9, C squared equals 72. Okay, you're going to square root each side. And again, you can just leave it that way, that C is the square root of 72. You're going to be using your calculator for it, so you can just leave it that way. Now to get A, you square root the biggest bottom. Square root of 81 is 9. And so now you can punch into your calculator. Okay, and I'll go ahead and do that. Square root of 72. I hit equals before I divide by 9. Go ahead and divide by 9, and you'll get 0.94 for your eccentricity. Again, that determines the flatness of the ellipse. Now, we'll talk a little bit more about that. Is this more flat or is that more flat on the next lesson video? All right, but for now, just be able to calculate it. All right, and letter C, last one. Again, we want to find eccentricity, which is C over A. All right, so again, how do we find C? C squared equals A squared minus B squared is our formula. So C squared equals biggest bottom minus smallest bottom. C squared equals 7. Square root, that means C equals radical 7. So C is the square root of 7 over A. A is the square root of the biggest bottom, 4. And again, you want to punch into your calculator to get this answer. So square root of 7, hit equals, and then divide by 4. And I got 0.66, so the eccentricity is approximately 0.66. Okay, again, we'll talk a little bit more about which one's flatter than the other one and so on in the next lesson. All right? So again, the key to doing this is being able to figure out the center, nothing with x, nothing with y. The center becomes 0, 0. Your major axis has your biggest number underneath. Square root those numbers to figure out how far to go. And then graph from there. To find the foci, you're going to do the formula c squared equals a squared minus b squared. Add and subtract to the center, the major part of the axis, the major axis. Okay? All right, good luck with it. I hope you guys got it. We're going to be working on this again in the next lesson. If you work hard today, it'll make things next week a whole lot easier for you. All right, you guys have a great weekend. Make sure you do the assignment and submit it tonight. See you next week on Tuesday.